Welcome to Cast of Creators. We're your hosts. I'm Nelson Thal.
And I'm Casie Stewart. We've spent our careers in media and publishing, and now we're setting the stage for creative people who inspire us to share their stories.
Our guest today is Coach Carey. She's a 3-time certified life coach with a wealth of knowledge and a passion for confidence.
Coach Carey has the best vibes. We chatted about her coaching business, working through challenges, and brand partnerships. This episode is so good.
Coach Carey.
Woo!
Welcome. Cast of Creators. Awesome to have you here.
I'm pretty fired up to be here. The
Great.
energy is already so robust. Like,
Oh yeah, robust energy.
We are
name the podcast. Yeah.
Robust energy with Coach Carey. We could sit here and just talk about the titles for this episode.
I did. An hour goes by.
So a 3 times certified life coach. Okay. Walk me through exactly what that means, because 1 times
Fair.
I felt was good enough, but
I appreciate that.
I love that you're just like
Let's go.
3.
You know, it didn't happen on purpose per se, but I'm a big believer in ever evolving and constantly learning. Like, one of my favorite quotes is, there's always more to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
So I got my first one, and that was more specific to one-on-one coaching. And then my second one was more cognitive behavioral coaching, really like diving deeper into like the cognitive patterns that each human has. And then my third one was more group coaching.
Okay.
So it let me be a little bit well-rounded to better serve, all of my clients.
Oh,
or
for
potential
sure.
clients.
And who's giving these certifications out?
Yeah. So the first one is with IPEC, which is, if I may, kind of like the McGill of coaching.
Okay.
It's one of the most longest accredited coaching schools in the world. And it's the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching, and then cognitive behavioral coaching. And the group coaching was with George Brown College right here in Toronto.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first one, how long ago did you do that one?
Oh, good question. So that was,
Remember.
yeah.
Telling you right off
Yeah,
the top, babe.
I thought we were friends. I thought we were having fun. You were like, don't prepare.
Check your resume before you get here.
Yeah.
We say that then with the real hard questions.
Oh
right off
my
the bat.
Oh, okay. Good thing I know my stuff. So 27 to about 28. Took me about a year and a half to do the first program with IPEC. Then I did just focused on one-on-one coaching for about a year and a half, 2 years. Then I got the group coaching. And then after that, did around when I was 30, did the cognitive behavioral coaching.
Cool.
And for each one of these, do they toss you into a situation with people who need coaching? Like, is there a bit of a like shadow another coach?
No, but more mentor coaching and like team
Right.
coaching with other people in the program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're coaching each other
That's interesting.
weekly or bi-weekly. You also have a mentor coach who's really testing you on because the premise of coaching is asking questions.
Right.
And, my biggest room for improvement, let's say, was not to stack.
Okay.
Yes.
So does that mean like stacking questions?
Yeah, I had to get really comfortable with that silence, because when you ask a really open-ended, thought-provoking question, most people need a minute to like sit with it.
Yeah. Like you probably freeze up like, hold
Right.
on. Let me go in my memory and think of what my
Exactly.
feelings are.
Or most people are like, does this person actually want to hear me? Do they actually care about the answer? So they just kind of don't really think about it.
Right.
And if you allow them that space, then they dive a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get comfortable with that space to not, because I'd hear the silence and then I'd ask another question, maybe clarifying or more to further explain. And then my mentor coach was like, you're asking really powerful questions, sit with it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then when I started to really practice that, boom, like pure aha moments, moving people through it, like pure magic.
Yeah,
Clearly love what I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I know you do. It's great.
reminds me of the Johnny Depp trial a little bit when they're like objection, compound question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're basically compounding
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, exactly. Compounding, stacking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same thing.
Well, you have to really be comfortable in that silence.
It takes time to learn how to do that.
I mean,
We're learning as question askers on this
Clearly.
podcast.
Right?
yes. I mean, we don't have very much silence.
Well, the thing is, with a show, it's not like you want that silence
No.
either in a show,
Literally.
but we could try it. later if you
No.
want.
Okay, well, I'll circle back.
Unless you ask us
exactly.
a question that we need to answer, that's when silence might come because I'm, me, I'm a chatty Cathy.
Chatty Cathy.
Chatty Cathy type of lady. I always got something to say.
You'll ask that next question.
I love
I know people know the Chatty Cathy saying because that was way before our time.
That was in the old,
right? But my mom would always say that to me, and then I found out it was a doll in like the 50s.
Oh, it was it? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was a doll.
Oh,
And her name was Chatty Cathy.
well,
It was a talking doll.
I'm a doll too.
Was it a pull cord doll?
Listen, now you're pushing.
Oh,
I
and
have
I'll
all the
tell you.
answers.
You know what?
Fine.
Actually, now that you say that Nelson does that, the reason the pull cord is very
I'll show you.
front in his mind is
I was
that
thinking about this.
we were looking at your Instagram and there was
Oh.
a couple things that we could learn from.
Whoa, I see you've got it pulled up
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I got it pulled up.
I love it.
Yeah, so we've got
Bring it on.
stuff. And
Okay.
Nelson can see all of us
So-
on the screen. as
Oh,
well.
wow. Oh, this is good.
So the one that reminded me, we can go through. I want to go through these later, but this one reminded me. It's funny you say the Chatty Cathy. Kathy, this one reminded me of the one that I wanted in a pull cord doll.
Like
Okay.
that you've
So
yeah.
you pull the doll and
Yep.
it goes, "Thank you for correcting me. I didn't realize that." Okay. Because these were fantastic. All right.
Yeah,
I was
they're
looking
really
at these.
good.
I was like, these
They're
are
really
great. I gotta
great.
add these to my
I hadn't thought of it that way. And it's like, that they're
Yeah,
really
I can
good.
picture it, right? Pull on the cord. I hadn't thought of it that way.
You
I
know?
understand better now.
Like the
we should make this doll.
Chatty Cathy.
I'll try.
Yeah.
Bringing it back 70 years later.
Yeah,
this is the doll you figure you make.
Yeah.
I was wrong about this. I've changed my mind.
But yeah, these are really good.
I think, I think the big thing for me and my platform is that it's never about taking yourself too seriously.
Yeah, no.
My
Tell me
biggest
about it.
goal is to help people as a
Yeah.
coach, right? So I think my platform and my goal has been how can I put out tips and tools that anybody could ideally implement into their lives?
Yeah, I love this one. That was a great one.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that because I find that not everyone is necessarily active listening.
Mm.
And then when they're not active listening, people can easily react.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time when a human reacts, they're reacting from emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And when you react from emotion, you're literally leaving your logic mind and putting it on the back burner.
Right.
That's a
Right.
And I want to help people get back to the logic mind. And
Yeah.
then, my biggest value, even the hat that I wore when I came in, says just love.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like, let's get to a place of love and respect for each human.
Absolutely.
It could all be super simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing about that one was it's tricky if you don't have those phrases to be gracefully wrong,
Precisely.
and
Precisely.
something a little bit of right.
Yeah.
It's right to
Yeah.
be gracefully wrong.
I'm wrong all the time.
I'm wrong all the time, but now I can
know,
be.
just kidding.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Well, you're the type of person who needs these phrases because you're not used to being wrong.
Yes. Huh? These phrases
This
are
is
for you
the
now.
person- these phrases are for you.
They're for everyone.
Oh, she's right.
She's back
She's back now. No, she's right. You're right about that,
They're for
Kate.
everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've, have known you for a long time, followed. I
Absolutely.
love how your content is a great mix of, sometimes you're just, hey, I'm just jumping on to say a message. It's a cold day. It's a rainy day. It's this day. Or it could be, sponsored content with someone that you're working with, let's say like
Totally.
Nike, DHL. Or then it's also like the kind of a bit motivational or how to deal with something like that.
Yeah.
Post that Nelson
You just
shared.
nailed it. Thanks.
Yeah. I got it all wrapped up.
Those are the pillars.
Yeah.
I think the big thing for me too was in this realm of sponsored content. Like, how can I tap into that a little? Because obviously that's a big force in
Yeah.
the social media realm, but have it 1000% align with who I am.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
definitely
It
that.
took me some time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's honestly my biggest rule. It has to align with not just who I am, but my platform.
Mhm.
So if someone were to scroll through my Instagram, they probably wouldn't necessarily right away notice what's sponsored. Because when I work with them, I say, okay, but if this is your end goal, how can I support you in a way that works for me?
Yeah.
For example,
It shows.
thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that
shows.
a lot. I do, because I work really hard at that.
Hmm.
'Cause it's not about the sponsored content, but it's, again, how can I help?
Mm-hmm.
With one of my partners, Capital One, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial expert.
I've worked with them a bunch too,
I'm
and it
still
has
learning.
to be like,
Right? So they were like, okay, we get that. We honor that. So what about supporting people on moving through anxiety when it comes to checking their credit? And I said, that I can help you with.
Absolutely.
And so we framed the campaign around moving through anxiety when it comes to finances. Boom.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Easy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And same with the way you did that diagram of chopping up big goals into smaller tasks.
Oh, you did your research. Okay.
I loved that one because we are specialists at that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
Actually,
I appreciate it a lot.
The only reason I can sit here and my brain isn't bursting is because I'm constantly making lists and prioritizing and chopping stuff up.
Same.
And I don't have to think about much of anything all the time.
I'm a list babe as well.
Yeah, me too. I have a list for everything.
Get it out of the head. Let it live somewhere so it stops swirling through your head.
And I was like, sometimes the list is in my phone. Or a lot of times I'm like, I need a paper list.
Yes.
I need to write it down because when I write it down and I go through, because we do, when we work together and we go through like what tasks I'm doing, during the day. But I mean, I still have like my side notebook where I jot down little things because it's like, on the computer, it's still digital, but I need to like go through the actions. The same with goal setting. It's like I need to write it down. I need to put it on the wall. So I can look at it. I can see it. It's real.
Same. 1000%. Even though I have my computer and my notes and everything there, I genuinely still need the paper. I still bring my journal with me everywhere I go. It's currently in my knapsack. There's a whale on it. I'm obsessed with whales. If you did your research, you would know that.
Yeah.
I post whales every morning.
Because I have baby beluga in my head because I have a 9-month-old. So
you get it.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
You should see Casey's beautiful checklist for this podcast production.
Oh, my.
It's a beauty.
It's an Excel. It's an Excel worksheet.
Whoa, I don't do Excel. Whoa.
I don't really like Excel either, but in order to get all the things done to make sure this podcast gets produced, it's just things across the top, things across the bottom, and everything has a checklist.
Okay, fair.
It's a checkbox.
Okay.
It's very simple.
I could probably get into that.
But
the beauty
like
thing about Excel,
checklist.
actually, when we started to use Sheets, Casey had that sort of
I was like,
version to Sheets. But once
use
Sheets.
Google Sheets.
Google Sheets.
Sorry. No, not a new thing.
But then I was like, but trust me, if you just set it up once, this is going to make your life, you're going to love this thing. Like you're going to love the sheet. Sure. And I think that
I do now.
I do love the sheet.
Because at first I was anti.
Funny enough, I did that with Talia too. She has a sheet for Ariel's sleep schedule and feeding it. I thought, Talia, I don't know if she's going to get in a sheet. And then I explained it that way. And she's like a sheet bro.
She's a sheet
She's
babe.
in there.
Yeah.
She's a sheet babe.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Who knew? Google Sheets. Look out.
Yeah. That
Sponsor us.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, or a bed sheet could sponsor you. I may have to say Google
whatever kind of sheet. I
take
sleep.
it.
Yeah. One of you mentioned, doing sponsored content, and I love that. Now, you do things that are really aligned with who you are, but you said it took a while. So what are some of the maybe things you had to when we talk about being a creator, what are some of the things you had to work throughout to get to where you are now when it comes to creating sponsored content?
Oy.
Yeah, that's a biggie.
Yeah. I was like, I thought we were having fun. No. No, it's actually a good question.
No, yeah.
It actually could help a lot of people at home.
That's what I was thinking.
Are creators. But the biggest thing I think for me was being okay with saying no.
Right.
When you're grinding, when you're, on the journey to becoming, etc., you have this feeling of, I have to say yes to everything because it's also what's paying my bills.
Yeah.
And I had to really learn to be okay with that. Like, am I going to say yes to something that doesn't align with who I am because this could support me financially? Or am I going to say no and stay true to my values? So that's something I talk about a lot, is staying true to your values no matter what, because that helps you navigate these tough things. So I started to say no to anything that genuinely didn't align, like those fast, quick.
Yeah, like the quick and dirty campaigns where it's like, here's $1,000, post this.
Because at first you're like, oh my gosh, look at me, I'm importante.
Yeah.
And then after a while you're like, this doesn't feel.
You're like, I feel dirty.
Right. Yeah, I don't feel in alignment. Like, what is this? Even if you don't know how to describe it, you just kind of feel, you kind of feel off. So then I started, staying true to the values and also really being vocal about also wanting long-term relationships. I never wanted to be a one-time thing, and then over time that started to prevail, as well as pairing that with the general content I was already putting out. Yeah. So kind of two things
Yeah, they came together.
came together.
I used to often say, like, when I'd speak at conferences and stuff and talking about the same topic, that, I don't want a one night stand with your brand.
Yeah.
I want to build a relationship.
Absolutely.
I want some courtship.
Absolutely.
I want you to send me
I want some
gifts.
romance.
Yeah, let's make this. We don't have to make it, before we get official. Like, I want to test out your products. I want you to, we have some good communication. I want us to be open and honest with each other.
Totally.
And then I want to build a long-term relationship, not just a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you find that the brands that get that and are aligned show up.
Oh, yeah.
I've re-signed with most of my partners multiple times.
Which is a great thing when you're looking at building relationships with other people or new brands, because you can say, I've worked with this brand for this long. Like, I worked with TELUS for 10 years.
I remember.
Forever. And everyone knew me that I was doing.
You were the TELUS babe.
Yeah. And I still I still do stuff with them, and I still love the team. We all keep in touch. And I did something with them, a big community cleanup. And it was I had been with TELUS as long as some of the people who were working there that were that day. And we'd all been working together for that long. And I would use that when I went to talk to other brands about, I don't just want to do one post and then never talk to you again. I want to, let's plan out the next year. Let's plan out the next 6 months.
Yes.
Let's build something.
I think you touched on the other big piece of that is building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, particularly, new, the younger generation that haven't had,
younger influence.
Yeah.
Right.
The era of just social media, whereas we were the era of more hey, you're meeting at an event and then you're jumping on a call, then you're meeting for coffee, then you're doing this, and this before anything happens.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
I think building relationships is that second, silent partner.
Yeah.
They have to go hand in hand. So even with, having a management team now and all that stuff, I always want to be on the first call.
Absolutely.
I have to be on the first call so that I can get a feel for them. They can get a feel for me, and then explore from there.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be cold.
No.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have someone else make a deal for you, and then all of a sudden it comes to you have to do the thing that you're putting your face on, and then you're like, whoa.
Right. Wait a second.
Because there's nothing worse than committing to do a piece of content or something when you have uneasy feelings about it, and then you have to be
totally.
It's the worst feeling when you get into that. And if you can avoid that situation at all costs,
Absolutely.
do it.
I think anyone in the social media realm has had that feeling, but hopefully, like us, it's been a learning experience.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And hopefully moving through that / past that.
Yeah.
In some way.
Definitely.
Where did you first learn about life coaching?
Good question. So it's funny because I majored in psychology in university, and I always say, I was really passionate about understanding myself better and the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great, but it was very black and white, the industry itself. And I feel like anyone who knows me, I thrive in the gray area.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All things, So at 27, when I started to feel really unfulfilled because I did it through events for so long.
Yeah.
It didn't resonate. I didn't feel aligned at all. Wasn't aligned with my values anymore. A friend had told me what they were doing, and it was coaching. And I said, interesting. And then I did a lot of research and jumped on a lot of calls with admissions advisors and reached out to every single coaching school I could find. And on these calls, I was having these aha moments, this connection of connecting every dot throughout my entire life, leading me to my life's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like there is no plan B. The moment I heard about coaching, it was this is absolutely what I am destined to do. And here we are, 9 years later.
Wow.
Very nice.
That's great.
So I was reading something you wrote about your ability to help others really is the result of your cup being full.
Ooh.
Okay. Or being able to focus enough on yourself that you are generally a full person.
Yep.
And so to say that more eloquently than
For sure.
Good job paraphrasing.
Yeah. I appreciate your paraphrasing, but I think I discovered this sort of just through my own experience, but we often hear and think that we pour from a full cup.
That's the phrase.
And I said, that sounds great at first. This is make perfect sense.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, but the full cup is for me.
Right.
And so every time I'm helping and supporting and saying yes to everything, I'm literally taking from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of the day, you're constantly trying to refuel and you're only ever getting back to full or just under full.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, it's actually the overflow that we have more to give without taking from ourselves that I find the magic really happens. And everyone is capable of achieving that in whatever way that looks like for them.
Right.
So your route to achieving that was ultimately finding your role as a coach and being fulfilled in that role. And then you were able to really have enough spillage.
I would say that's like 80%. The other 20% is, taking care of myself, whether that's self-care, boundaries, meditation, swimming, spending time with loved ones. All those things refuel me specifically. So I'm really good about balance and how I carve my days. Yeah.
Very
Is there
important.
a set way you start your day?
I would say like 3 to 4 times a week. I try to start my day with some meditation, affirmations, and stretching. But I also am like in flow. So if one day I want to sleep in, then I'm going to let myself sleep in. If one day I've got a really jam-packed day and I've got to go, and I may not be able to do that, that's okay too, because maybe I can, backtrack that and do it when I get home or something like that. But I think I always start my days with some affirmations, just that positive self-talk.
What are some of those go-to affirmations?
Absolutely. My top 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
are I love you.
Okay.
I honor you.
Nice.
And you are more than enough.
Oh,
Those
those
are
are
great.
beautiful.
Right?
Yeah, really.
You can always add more. And
Yeah.
those are like my go-to, because what's interesting is on the days where you don't feel it, you kind of feel a disconnect when you say it.
Yeah.
And then that disconnect shows you that you perhaps haven't been practicing that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say I honor you and then I feel, and within myself, then I start thinking about, did I honor myself this week?
Mm-hmm.
Did I say yes to things I meant to say no to things? Or did I go outside my boundaries or things like that? And it helps you kind of retune that self-care.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it
For me,
pulls you
yeah.
back.
Or at
Yeah,
least analyze why the hell it's not syncing up.
exactly. And then there's days where you say it and you're like, let's go.
Yeah.
Fired up.
Yeah.
And those are the days I hope for, but it's not every day. But then it, like you said, brings me back and then shifts how I show up that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you are with a new client
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, I'd love to do this, but I just don't have the confidence to get started.
Mm.
What do you then go into sort of a list of, questions or how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Like,
It's interesting because I spoke about patterns a little bit, and I really feel like each person has a pattern that
Right.
they are kind of on, wavelength, etc. And after some time, you start to be able to identify those patterns a little bit more readily. And each person is super different at the same time. So my biggest thing is to really decipher the code as they're talking.
Yeah. I can imagine, holy.
And to help them, empower them to answer their questions themselves.
Mhm.
That's really my job. I think a lot of people think coaches give advice, and I don't really give advice unless someone specifically asks me about things that pertain to my expertise.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I just ask questions. So
Mhm.
in that scenario, if someone were to say to me, I don't feel I have confidence for XYZ, I would say, what makes you feel that way? Or why is it that you think that you do not have confidence for this? And then usually they're going to sit there and be like, oh, well, this, and this.
Yeah.
Or flip it and say, has anyone ever told you that you're not confident when you show up in these spaces?
Mhm.
9 out of 10 times the answer is no. So then I'm like,
Right.
Right.
so let's work backwards now.
Mhm.
How can you support yourself to fill that gap that you potentially have created within yourself?
This is really good because I don't have experience working with a coach, and I kind of wasn't sure what coaching, because I had seen a rise of people who had been
For sure.
coaches, right? In the last like couple of years.
For sure.
But also, I mean, you are someone I was like, if I needed a coach, you're the first person I'm coming to.
Thank you.
Because I mean, not saying I need a coach, but I mean, I could definitely use a coach. So
Yeah.
we should probably talk about that.
We all could.
We all could use a coach.
Every
Someone
single
to
person.
ask questions, because I had been thinking, okay, so I've seen more people be coaches lately. And then some of the people that I've seen coaches, I'm like, one, I wouldn't take advice from them.
Fair.
And, you know, because I think if you're going to be my coach, I want to look at the things that you've done in your life that would kind of like qualify you to do that. Maybe not just a certificate, even though you're multi-platinum certified. But I just want to like,
That was good.
okay, if I'm going to invest in this, a coach for myself, then it's like, you know, how do you find someone who's a great coach, you know? And I think, I forget where I was going. No, I was going with this because there's like just a rise of people being coaches. And I think,
I've noticed that too.
you know,
A lot of them are people I feel I could coach.
yeah, well, that's the same thing for me because I've done lots of speaking and I've done lots of helping people. And I'm often the one in my friend groups, in my best friends, I'm Mama Case. Everyone comes to me when there's like something. I got the advice usually. But I think it was really interesting. Why I'm saying this is because it's not necessarily about giving advice. It's about knowing how to ask the important questions,
Right.
which I think that has changed my perception of a coach because I was thinking,
I agree.
I had been thinking, oh, I wouldn't take advice from that person.
Right.
But it's not about taking advice from that person. It's that they have the skills to know how to ask the right questions that are going to make me think and internalize in my own self.
Yes.
Right.
Literally.
So you opened my mind to a way.
so
What
happy
was
to hear
it?
that.
What was I supposed to say? No, what was that? I need to
Oh.
take your cues again.
Oh, thank you.
I need to do more research on it.
Exactly.
I didn't think of it that way.
I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't think about it that way.
I haven't thought of it that way. I understand better now.
I understand better now.
That's when you got to turn to that doll. Yeah.
I understand better. No, but I mean, you have helped me understand better now because I was always thinking having a coach was like, oh, someone's gonna like a therapist kind of, but also I mean a therapist
More like
also,
an advice person.
Yeah,
like
an advice
answers person.
Yeah,
But it's true.
A coach
It's
is
not
more
an
of a questions
answers person.
That is it. And I think it's like the rise
yeah,
has made it very popular.
yeah,
And I would also say respectfully, a lot of those people aren't certified. A lot of the
Right.
people
Yes.
have just deemed themselves and added that word to the end of
It's
whatever it is they were already doing. And
And for all you know, they may help.
totally.
You know what I mean?
And I support
Like,
that, but it's also could be dangerous.
Totally.
yeah. That's what I think.
They sit down and all they do is give you advice.
Exactly. So
They don't ask any of the right questions.
Great. They don't ask any at all.
They don't ask any at all.
But one of my favorite examples of the power of questions is, and for me, I don't need to take on every client.
Right.
If I can support you in a 15-minute call and then you don't
Yeah.
need me, let's do it
Yeah.
because you'll refer me.
Yeah. Totally.
Or you'll book me at your company or something like that. I've run my business completely off of referrals for the last 10 years.
That's awesome.
And thank you.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
incredible.
you very much. I appreciate that. And so someone reached out to me, wanted coaching. And I said, great, let's meet for coffee. This was, maybe 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he sits at the table and you could tell confidence was low in terms of body language, eye contact.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he said, I feel like I'm the only person in my company that doesn't have a degree and this.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. I listen for a bit. And I say, so you're the only person in your company that didn't go to post-secondary school, but has the same caliber of work, the same pay grade. Tell me why that you think that's a negative. And all of a sudden, his eye contact, his
just got
body language,
shiver.
his shoulders, and he said exactly that. I didn't think of it that way.
Mhm.
Boom. He went into the world and didn't need to coach him. He
Yeah,
just needed
like-
that one
That's great.
reframe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Reframing
love
your
it.
perspective on
Absolutely.
things.
Because we're so used to being in our tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just need to open it up.
You're good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck. You're good, man. Holy. You're having a moment.
I love what I do. I love what I do. So
Yeah.
much. It's so powerful and
Yeah.
it's awesome. And just the energy exchange of helping someone, it gets me fired up.
Yeah. It's like, giving is its own gift. And in this way, you get to help people. It's like a reciprocal sharing, and it
Exactly.
boosts everyone up. I mean,
And now you felt why I've been able to run it off referral.
yeah, if anyone asks me, I'm like, absolutely.
Thank you.
Top of my roster.
Let's go.
You had an insightful strategy in the 4th grade to deal with a situation in your class that's similar to that in the sense it was sort of like you flipped it.
Oh, that cough came
The
back.
way you gave him some
Yeah,
insight.
in my throat.
You gave don't worry.
Let that one part out. I don't want to cough in everyone's podcast.
Ever since the coronavirus and the coughing and the tickling in your throat, every time I cough, I turn to Casie and I go, "Don't mind my tickle."
Just a little tickle.
For some reason, it's a funny little situation. Don't mind my tickle.
Casey.
Come close.
Yeah, don't mind my tickle.
Yeah.
Little bit of a different undertone to it, So on your first day in the 4th grade, you got into a situation where you were able to think of a way to flip it, similar to the way that you expressed that gentleman, just to flip the way you're thinking about something, sort of flipped it on these other kids. You talk a little bit about it. I thought it was an insightful situation.
Great question. And I love that you did your research. I'm still recovering from the laughter. Honestly, I don't know how that I was able to think of that or achieve that at such a young age. But
What was the situation? Give people a...
Oh, for sure. So first day of grade 4, I walk into the classroom. I'm literally the only new kid, the only person of color, and the only fat kid. And everyone's making fun of me, and I barely make it through attendance.
Wow.
Just about sobbing, literally holding back all of my tears. I'm only grade 4, so I'm 8 years old.
Yeah.
I go to the washroom and just bawl my eyes out, sobbing, snot everywhere, those cries, And I was thinking, I can't call my mom and dad. They've left for work already. Nothing gives children more power to bully you than your parents having to come in and save the day if that's available to you, right? So I had, at least I know I have to figure this out on my own. And somehow, I like to call it accessing my higher self.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow in that moment, I recognized that this one class wasn't the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
And that I had friends from my neighborhood, friends from my other schools, that I wasn't necessarily alone, even though in this moment I felt alone. Mm. So I wiped my tears and I'm like, okay, go back to the classroom and figure this out. But I was like, well, do what? And honestly, call it intuition, call it guidance. I have no idea, but literally something just hit me to go around the room and introduce myself to every single kid and ask their name and something about them.
Wow. Right?
And
that'll disarm them.
Exactly the word. I disarmed them, unknowingly took away their preconceived notions. Obviously, we didn't know what that word meant in that age, but when I reflect, that's what happened. Especially at that age, it's much harder to be mean to someone when they take the time to get to know you.
Oh,
yeah. Totally.
Right? And now that's still to this day one of my tools.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I'm in a new room or a new space, that is the first thing I do.
Yeah.
And it's like a joke with all my friends because they'll be like, oh, did you meet Raia? It's like, yeah, I already met everybody. I already went around the entire room.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know that feeling when you walk into a new room and it's like, you kind of made eye contact, but you don't really know that person. And it's just kind of like, we're talking, but I don't know your name. So it still feels kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been there.
Right? We've all been there. But that when that person comes in and says, hey, what's your name? I'm blah, 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 blah. You're like, okay. And so that's honestly the beginning of me building my toolbox. And I guess, in my opinion, for my own opinion about myself, is it changed the entire trajectory of my whole life.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Thanks for asking. It's nice to always reflect on
It's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. I think it's powerful also a powerful tool for if anyone who's listening or us, anyone who has kids or even just when you get into a situation where you're awkward or you don't know people or even if you're an influencer, sometimes other influencer type people can have their little groups that they hang out with. And then you get somewhere and you're like, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And just kind of disarming people with kindness and reaching out. And
it literally works almost every time.
yeah, how can it not work?
Right?
It's It's great. I loved reading that. 'Cause I
Yeah.
didn't.
Well, sometimes
Thank you.
pretty great solutions can be very little and quick.
Absolutely.
If you look at those two
Absolutely.
examples,
right?
those were both solutions that a lot of people, like problems that a lot of people could have looked at like mountains.
Totally.
But
And-
all it took was a little bit of a strategy there.
And though
out
that
of
was
it.
me in grade 4, it still could be relatable to anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, high school
Yeah.
influencers,
Anything.
corporate,
A new
anything.
job, a new school,
all of it.
everything.
I get asked a lot of questions about networking, and so whenever I think about that, I think about networking, and I always say, ask questions. Particularly because a lot of people will share with me that they feel anxious in those new spaces. And so I'm like, but if you're asking questions and that gives you some time to manage your breath, to calm down, that person gets to talk. And then by the end, even if you don't talk as much, they're thinking, wow, Cassie is amazing.
Yeah.
She asked me about myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And how often in this day and age do people actually, with intention,
Mhm.
active listening to someone they just met and
Yeah.
giving them their undivided attention? It's very rare.
Yeah.
Totally.
So networking tip for all.
For
Yeah.
sure. It's Casey, by the way.
Did I say Cassie?
Yeah, you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
It's okay. You
Oh
know.
my God. I literally know this.
I knew Casey wasn't going to say anything, too.
No, you know what? It's been really great.
I'm embarrassed. I'm leaving. Delete the show.
No, but honestly, people.
I knew you'd
people-
love
I
this
I hate that so bad because I hear people call me Raia.
Yeah, people. When you have like a uniquely, I'm grateful to have a unique name.
Keep people on their toes.
But I mean, it's also
It's
been
true.
really great
Does
for
keep people on their
SEO
toes.
for me being a OG blogger. I am the world's #1 Casey, i.e. Stewart, in the world on every social platform, on the website. I am #1 with my name, but it's okay.
Casey.
You know what?
It's fine.
Casey often talks about it being just think of a K and think of a C.
But
You need a little shirt, Casey.
I
Yeah.
have shirts with my name on them, but it happens all the time, my whole life. But I mean, actually, when I was in around grade 4, the teachers doing it will take it back to grade 4 and doing attendance. Ding, ding, ding. Cassie Stewart. It's Casey. Cassie would have 2 S's. And they were like,
Oh, Sam.
fuck with this.
Actually, grammatically speaking, you're wrong. Thanks,
Yeah.
teacher.
That was probably in New
That's so
Zealand.
good.
No? Oh.
That teacher's probably
It's
like,
not even better in
my
New Zealand.
Yes, the teacher's probably like, oh no, keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
On everything.
and then that followed me the rest of my life. Keep an eye out for that one.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Actually, you're not correcting as quickly this day.
No, I'm not correcting as quickly, but I mean, it's okay. We're all,
Totally.
But that's what good friends are for.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah.
your back on.
Thanks for having my back, bud.
No problem.
Right?
No problem.
I love that.
I love it.
So, obviously, you're pretty fantastic at setting a goal and sticking to it and being consistent because you've lost, from what I read, 300 pounds. So that's some pretty unbelievable consistency and goal setting.
Yep.
And so I wanted to talk a bit about it
Sure.
because I've had my own battles with weight and lost a lot of weight as well. 130.
Good. Congrats.
Thank you.
Great.
And it's not the time. It's the weight.
Just to make sure everyone at home knows I'm specifically talking about a milestone achievement.
So one of the things about accomplishing is something you really got to think about every day.
Yep.
And the
Yeah.
Yep.
and it's not something like, that's look, 130, 300. That goal is like so far out there. Like when you think of that, of actually doing that at day one,
Yeah.
it's like, it's not an easy flipper. Like you wish it was,
You would.
was like that day one in grade 4
Yeah,
when it's
like
like,
that
I can
meme
just
where
flip
it's like I
this.
ate a salad for a week.
Yeah,
When I lost weight.
yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot.
But I think the biggest thing for me was rather than like outrageously goal setting, bite size,
Mhm.
smaller goals, more digestible pieces.
Mhm. No pun intended.
Right? No pun intended. Because I think of every day I woke up and I thought, you got to lose 300 pounds. So overwhelming, so
Yeah.
discouraging, so
Mhm.
daunting, easy to dip into shame and all these other things. Instead, I woke up and I was like, 1 pound,
Mhm.
2 pounds.
Yeah.
3 pounds, whatever can happen this week. But can I stay focused on the small goals, which was movement every day and smaller meals more often? That
Yeah.
was literally my 2 goals.
Yeah.
And I swim a lot. So swimming was actually probably the biggest game changer for me in my weight
You
loss.
got into a swim groove.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
A groove you liked.
Exactly.
Finally
Yeah,
got-
you got to find
I
something
love
you like.
water.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're weightless, so moving quicker is easier. Like running would be so hard for
Yeah.
me. Tough on
yeah, I
my
don't-
body, right?
Yeah.
So swimming really helped a lot. But sticking with 2 goals and all those other tools that we've talked about
Yeah.
is really what helped for sure.
How long did it take?
Probably about 5 years.
Cool.
No diets, no
Yeah.
medication, just because also women, we have unfriendly visitor once a month. That does not help when you're trying to go to the gym and not eat chocolate.
Right.
You know what
No,
I'm saying?
doesn't help.
Not at all. So
Wow.
the plateaus, the ups and downs,
Yeah, it's hard.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not 300, but I lost like 30 pounds. But it was like the same. It was like
That's still
it
really
was over 2 years.
a big amount.
And I
for-
started
yeah.
running, but like I had a breast reduction, and then I felt like I could run because before that it was like I was not running. I was not running.
They were running.
And they were doing their own running. It
They're
was
running
like,
you.
Yeah. Oh, but I mean, I had to get to that, and then I did small goals. Like I'm going to work out, even if it was 10 minutes.
Yep.
I did something.
Yeah.
And I was like, try to eat smaller portions and don't smoke weed and eat late at night.
Literally.
You know?
But I also think that's something to say because I think people often are like, oh, you lost a huge amount of weight. And that's so much more impactful than a potentially smaller person to lose a smaller amount when it's just as hard.
Yeah.
Because what I found was like losing the first 100 was easy.
Right.
Just start
Okay.
moving every day. But then it gets harder because I have to
Right.
challenge yourself more. So if someone's going from, let's say 150 to 120, that is actually harder or just as hard as me going from, 500 to like 200.
Right.
Mhm.
So really like a reminder to honor everyone's journey and whatever that weight gain or weight loss is. Some people
Yep.
are on a weight gain journey, and I think it's important for everyone to respect all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I did not have a breast reduction, Casey, so my loss is just pure. It's a pure loss, okay? I don't know what yours was all about.
Interesting, as a masculine woman, my boobs were the one area that I did not lose weight.
Really?
And I was like, sick joke, universe, cool. So like out of all the areas.
You think that you would, because like they told me before that it's like, oh, just lose weight and your boobs will get smaller. And I was like, it's not happening.
It did not work.
These guys are doing
30 pounds right here.
Yeah. Well, they
good
took
for
off
you.
8 whole pounds and just it.
Oh,
Wow.
Whole pounds. 8
8
whole,
whole pounds.
whole pounds.
Eat not non-whole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, don't make me cackle. Because then I'll snort and like we'll be in all night.
Not half and half whole.
Yeah.
Shut up,
Like a
guys.
solid not
You know I'm easy to make fun of, okay?
You're our favorite.
So, types of clients that you have: individuals, corporations, husband, wife, like groups,
All of it.
all of it.
All of it. I would say right now my most is individuals, corporate, and like brands.
Right.
Because the cool
Beautiful.
thing that happened too is doing internal and external. So,
Yeah.
I did a campaign with you. Cool. Now I'm going to do a workshop for your team
Yeah, that's
members,
awesome.
That's
which I
awesome.
love. Yeah. Which helps build that relationship that we were talking
Yeah,
about.
it's like it takes a relationship to the next level.
Absolutely.
We're
Well,
committed now.
this has definitely taken our relationship to the next level because this has been wonderful and it's
Absolutely.
been awesome to have you
You're
on
now
Cast of
trying
Creators.
Your,
Yeah.
2 becomes 3.
Oh my God. Oh my God. If anyone listening, they're going to be like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah,
But
like-
good crazy. Happy
Yeah.
crazy.
So like we listened to it. We got just laughter.
Great.
No.
Better than tears.
Yeah,
So-
so crying.
On that, thank you so much for joining
Thanks
us.
for having me.
Thank
It was
you.
awesome. Really appreciate it, team.
Us too. Thank you for tuning into this episode with Coach Carey. Visit careycoach.com to get in touch or book your first session.
Find more episodes of our podcast at castofcreators.com, subscribe on YouTube, or listen on your favorite podcast platform.